We all know that feeling, the moment when you should start, but something inside you hesitates. That little voice whispers, maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe when I feel ready. But here's the truth, that moment of hesitation is the first step toward failure. It's the beginning of a cycle that keeps you trapped in the same place while opportunities slip right through your fingers. Procrastination isn't just about being lazy, it's about fear. Fear of not being good enough, fear of failing, fear of putting in the effort and still coming up short. But if you let that fear win, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. Every time you say, I'll do it later, you're lying to yourself. Because later turns into never. The secret to breaking free? You don't wait until you feel ready. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You don't wait for inspiration to strike. You move. You take action before your mind has a chance to talk you out of it. You train yourself to act despite the doubt, despite the fear, despite the discomfort. Because success isn't about feeling ready. It's about developing the discipline to push through even when you don't want to. Think about it, how many times have you put something off because you weren't in the mood? How often do you tell yourself, I'll start fresh on Monday? What happens? Monday comes and you're still stuck. You've built a habit of delaying instead of doing. And that habit, it controls your life. So how do you break it? You make a decision. Not tomorrow, not later, right now. You take the first step, no matter how small, because momentum builds with movement. The hardest part is starting. Once you push past that initial resistance, everything gets easier. It's like pushing a heavy boulder. At first, it barely moves, but once it starts rolling, it picks up speed. That's how action works. That's how success is built. One of the best tools to beat procrastination is to act before your brain has a chance to interfere. When you feel that hesitation creeping in, count down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just move. Don't think, just go. Open the laptop, make the call, step into the gym, whatever it is, start. The longer you wait, the stronger the resistance becomes. And let's talk about perfectionism for a second, because that's another form of procrastination. So many people convince themselves they can't start until everything is perfectly in place. They think they need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect skill set. But perfection is a lie. It's an excuse dressed up as a standard. No one starts out perfect. No one gets everything right on the first try. You learn by doing, you improve by failing. If you're waiting until you're ready, you're really just waiting for an excuse to stay comfortable. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't wait. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't have certainty. They had one thing, a bias toward action. They knew that moving forward, even imperfectly, was better than standing still. And that's what separates the winners from the ones who never make it. Every single day, you're in a battle with yourself. The easy choice is to delay, to put things off, to promise yourself later. But every time you choose action instead, you strengthen your discipline. You rewire your mind for success. You start proving to yourself that you are the kind of person who does what needs to be done. And when that becomes your identity, when that becomes who you are, nothing can stop you. So here's the challenge. Next time you catch yourself hesitating, don't give in. Don't negotiate with your excuses. Don't let fear win. Instead, move. Do it now. Because every moment you wait is a moment wasted. And you don't have time to waste. The words you say to yourself every day are shaping your life, whether you realize it or not. Most people don't pay attention to that voice in their head. It runs on autopilot, repeating the same doubts, the same fears, the same excuses over and over. And what happens? They start believing it. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I'll never succeed like them. That voice becomes their reality. It dictates their actions, their choices, their future. But here's the truth. That voice, it's not you. It's a broken record of old fears, past failures, and insecurities that don't belong in your present. And if you don't take control of it, it will control you. Negative self-talk is the fastest way to destroy confidence, kill momentum, and hold yourself back from the life you deserve. It's a battle you have to fight every single day because the way you speak to yourself is either building you up or tearing you down. Think about how you talk to yourself when things go wrong. When you make a mistake, do you say, I knew I'd mess this up, or do you say, I'll figure this out? When you fail at something, do you say, I'm not good enough? Or do you say, this is just part of the process? The words you use matter. Your brain listens. Your identity forms around what you tell yourself repeatedly. If you call yourself lazy, if you say you're bad at something, you won't even try. You are programming your mind with every thought, every phrase, every belief you reinforce. Most people go their entire lives never challenging that voice. They let it run wild, poisoning their confidence, feeding their fears. But what if instead you started fighting back? What if every time that voice said, I can't, you responded with, watch me? What if you replaced I'm not good enough with I'm still growing? What if instead of tearing yourself down, you built yourself up? That's the difference between people who win and people who never even step on the field. Successful people don't have some magic formula for confidence. They just refuse to let self-doubt make their decisions. They hear the same voice, the same fears, but they override them with action, with belief, with repetition. And that's the key, repetition. Because confidence isn't something you either have or you don't. It's something you train. The more you practice feeding your mind the right words, the stronger you become. You have to actively rewire your thinking. When that negative voice shows up, don't just accept it, challenge it. If it says, you're not smart enough, ask yourself who says, where's the proof? If it tells you you always fail, remind yourself of every time you've succeeded, every challenge you've overcome. Your mind will believe whatever you tell it most often. So if you're going to repeat something every day, let it be something that pushes you forward. And let's be real, this isn't about empty feel-good affirmations. This is about rewriting the narrative in your head so that it serves you instead of sabotages you. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I'm learning how. Instead of, I'm not good enough, say, I have everything I need to figure this out. Instead of, I'll probably fail, say, every failure is a lesson that makes me stronger. You're not lying to yourself. You're choosing a perspective that empowers you instead of weakens you. You get to decide how you see yourself. You get to decide what words you plant in your mind. You get to decide whether you spend your life in self-doubt or if you step up, take control, and create a belief system that fuels you. And the best part, once you start changing how you talk to yourself, everything changes. You show up differently. You take bolder actions. You stop playing small. You build an identity that is unshakable. So the next time that negative voice creeps in, don't just sit there and take it. Fight back. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for building up. Because the world isn't going to do it for you. That's your job. And the moment you take control of that inner voice, you take control of your entire life. Comfort feels good, doesn't it? It's safe, it's familiar, it doesn't challenge you, but it's also the enemy of growth. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're choosing to stay the same, you're choosing to settle. And if you're not growing, you're dying. That's the reality. People think they can just coast through life, doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, living the same way, and somehow things will change. But nothing changes until you change. The comfort zone is like a warm blanket. You don't want to leave it, but here's the problem. Everything you want, everything you dream of, everything you're capable of becoming exists outside of it. And most people never reach their true potential because they refuse to step out into that discomfort. They'd rather stay in a job they hate than take the risk of chasing something better. They'd rather avoid failure than even try. They'd rather do what's easy than what's necessary. And that's why they stay stuck. Growth is uncomfortable. It has to be. When you stretch beyond your limits, it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel scary. your brain is going to tell you, go back, stay where it's safe. That's normal. That's biology. Your mind is wired to keep you in familiar territory because familiar equals survival, but guess what? You're not here to just survive, you're here to thrive. And that means pushing through the resistance. Think about every great thing you've accomplished in your life. I guarantee it didn't happen inside your comfort zone. Maybe it was speaking up when you were scared. Maybe it was taking a leap on an opportunity when you weren't sure. Maybe it was grinding through a challenge when quitting would have been easier. That's where real growth happens. Every time you step into discomfort, you expand. You become stronger, smarter, more resilient. And the best part, the more you do it, the more you start to crave it. Look at successful people. They don't avoid discomfort, they chase it. They seek out challenges because they know that's the only way to level up. They put themselves in rooms where they feel out of place so they can grow into that level. They take risks, they fail, they adapt, and because they're willing to go where others won't, they achieve what others never will. So here's the question. What are you avoiding right now because it makes you uncomfortable? What's the thing you know would change your life, but you keep putting off because it feels scary? Maybe it's having a tough conversation. Maybe it's starting that business. Maybe it's committing to a new discipline, stepping into the unknown, finally taking a stand for the life you want. Whatever it is, that's your next step. That's your next level. And the only way to reach it is to push through the discomfort. Most people spend their lives waiting for confidence, waiting for the perfect time, waiting for a sign. But confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. You build confidence by doing the thing you think you can't do. You build belief by showing yourself what you're capable of. And once you start proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort, nothing will stop you. It's a simple formula. Challenge yourself daily. Do something that makes you uncomfortable every single day. It doesn't have to be massive. It just has to push you beyond where you were yesterday. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's taking on a harder workout. Maybe it's putting yourself in situations that force you to grow. The key is consistency. You don't get stronger by lifting weights once. You get stronger by lifting every day. And the same goes for your mindset, your discipline, your success. So from this moment forward, make a decision. Make a commitment to yourself that you will no longer let fear or discomfort dictate your life. You will no longer shrink back when things get hard. You will no longer settle for less than you are capable of, because the life you want, the person you want to become, is on the other side of discomfort. Step into it, stay in it, and watch what happens. The world we live in today is designed to steal your focus. Everywhere you turn, there's something pulling at your attention. Your phone buzzing, notifications popping up, email, social media, the endless scroll of distractions. And the problem isn't just that these things exist. The problem is that most people have lost control over their time. They wake up and the first thing they do, grab their phone. They check messages, dive into emails, get lost in what everyone else is doing before they've even set their own agenda for the day. And then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed, why they never seem to get anything done, why success always feels just out of reach. But here's the truth. If you don't control your time, something or someone else will. Every time you let distractions dictate your actions, you're letting go of your power. You're allowing the outside world to control your focus instead of intentionally directing it toward the things that actually matter. And the most successful people, the ones who dominate in their field, who achieve what others only dream about, they don't operate like that. They don't wake up and react to the day. They take control. They own their time. Most people don't realize how much time they waste. They tell themselves they're busy, they're working hard, but if you actually track where the hours go, you'd be shocked. How much time are you spending scrolling through social media? How much time do you lose jumping from one thing to the next, constantly distracted, never really locked in? Imagine if every one of those wasted minutes was redirected towards something meaningful. Toward your goals, your growth, your future. Imagine where you'd be a year from now. The key is intentionality. You can't just hope to be productive. You have to structure your time in a way that eliminates distractions and maximizes focus. That means setting clear priorities. That means protecting your most valuable resource, your attention. That means learning to say no to the things that don't serve your vision. Because every time you say yes to distractions, you're saying no to your dreams. Think about it. If you had to pay for every minute you spent on useless distractions, how much of your time would you still waste? If you had to physically hand over money every time you checked your phone, would you still pick it up so often? Probably not. Because you'd start recognizing how valuable your time actually is. But the reality is, your time is more valuable than money. You can always make more money. You can't make more time. And yet most people treat their time like it's unlimited, like they can waste it today and somehow make it up tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year, and suddenly they're looking back wondering where all their potential went. It stops today. From this moment forward, you take control. You decide what matters. You decide where your focus goes. And the best way to do that, eliminate distractions before they eliminate your success. That means turning off notifications. That means setting boundaries. That means creating a schedule that prioritizes what's important and sticking to it. Because success isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about doing the right things consistently without letting distractions steal your momentum. And let's talk about the biggest lie people tell themselves. I don't have time. Really? You don't have time? Or you don't have control of your time? Because the most successful people in the world have the exact same 24 hours you do. The difference? They're intentional with how they use them. They don't let distractions dictate their day. They design their days to support their goals. They eliminate what doesn't matter so they can focus on what does. You have the power to do the same, but it starts with a choice, a commitment to stop letting distractions steal your future, a decision to take back control of your time, your focus, your life. Because at the end of the day, your success isn't determined by how hard you wish for it. It's determined by how well you protect what matters most. Stop wasting time, start owning it, and watch how everything changes